first, in this introductory section to the science and practice of education in our times, there's some terms that we need to define, some basic terms. Teaching, for example, has historically and now sometimes been termed as an art. And when people refer to teaching as an art, they mean it's a way of relating, of a way of being creative or persuasive. It means you're a type of person that somehow has some natural instincts to influence other people. So teaching as an art is an idea in some people's mind. There is another idea associated with teaching, of course, which is teaching as a vocation. And then it means a kind of job with particular routines. Quite often it involves a public servant with skills that are acquired which fit in with certain standards. And the third meaning that we're going to share with you, or the third definition, is teaching as a science. That is, the teacher as a professional researcher that is observing, diagnosing, designing, tracking, evaluating. This is the definition of teaching that we're going to explore. Of course, none of these are separate. Teaching as an art, teaching as a vocation, and teaching as a science, of course, are interrelated. But the one thing that we want to stress is that there is nothing natural about being a teacher. And different content, different contexts, and different learners require very specific kinds of approaches in order to be able to be transformed. Teaching is a complex task, and it is a science, a very in-depth science that engages people in all their variety and in all their aspirations.
This idea of education, the idea of teaching, the idea of learning, it's something which surrounds us, it's with us all the time. And sometimes people say teaching is just an art. You know, some people are good at explaining things, enjoy explaining things to other people, are naturally, mentors, helpers, friends, and other people are just not very good at explaining things and don't have the patience to explain things to somebody else, to a novice or to a child or somebody else who doesn't know as much as they do. Some people are just not as good at it. So that in a rough kind of vernacular sense, that's what we mean by teaching as an art. It's something which some people might be sort of naturally good at and some people might be naturally not very good at or not inclined to do. Teaching is also a vocation. It's a profession. So one of the things that kind of, if you like, bedevils education as an area is that we often think of it just in an instrumental kind of way. We do education at university because we want to become a teacher, and it's about the mechanics of teaching and the professional practice of teaching. So we have this narrow instrumentalist view of what education is. But nevertheless, it is a vocation. Many millions and millions and millions of people are teachers. There are a huge number of teachers in the world, so it's a significant vocation. It's also a vocation which is often undervalued and underpaid, given the significance of what people do. Certainly compared to lawyers and doctors, it's undervalued and underpaid. But also we're interested in this idea of education as a science, and this is a really difficult question, to be quite frank, which we won't get to answer really till the end of this series. We're going to try and work our way around educational practices, a whole lot of ideas around education. But near the end of the series, we're going to actually try and face this question, okay, if education is a science, what kind of a science is it? And by science, we mean a systematically structured body of thought, a systematic way, series of ways of observing learning practices in schools or out of schools. That's what we mean by science. So let's get to that, because I mean, presumably the reason why you're looking at this video series is because you're interested in education, not just as an art, education not just as a vocation, but education as an academic discipline, as something that's to be formally learned if you want to become a teacher or somebody involved in the world of education.